Sergei Kravinoff's life changes forever when his mother dies unexpectedly. For years, she had been his anchor, shielding him and his half-brother Dmitry from the shadow of their father, Nikolai, a man infamous for his iron grip on an international drug trafficking empire. At the funeral, Nikolai arrives not as a grieving husband but as a domineering figure. Without hesitation, he takes Sergei and Dmitry, ripping them from the safety of their home and thrusting them into his violent, unforgiving world. Nikolai sees his sons as nothing more than heirs to his empire. To him, they are tools to be sharpened, molded, and hardened. Sergei, fiercely protective of his younger brother, silently resents his father's methods but complies, unwilling to put Dmitry at further risk. Nikolai's lessons are brutal, each one designed to strip away humanity and replace it with cold pragmatism. In the wild plains of Africa, Nikolai orchestrates what he calls a rite of passage. He takes Sergei and Dmitry on a hunting expedition, forcing them to track dangerous predators. Nikolai believes this will prepare them for the brutalities of his business, but his real intent is far more sinister. The test takes a terrifying turn when a lion attacks Dmitry. Sergei leaps into action, driven by instinct and a deep-seated need to protect his brother. The battle is harrowing, and though Sergei manages to save Dmitry, he is left gravely wounded. His injuries are so severe that death seems inevitable. As Sergei lies unconscious in the wilderness, a young girl named Calypso finds him. Her presence feels almost magical, her calm demeanor in stark contrast to the chaos around her. She administers a mysterious serum, a concoction her grandmother had warned her would one day save a life in an extraordinary accident. Before leaving, she places a tarot card next to Sergei, a cryptic sign of the power that now courses through his veins. When Sergei awakens, he is no longer the man he was. His senses are heightened, he can hear the faintest rustle of leaves and smell the fear in other creatures. His strength surpasses human limits, and his instincts are sharp, almost feral. However, his newfound abilities do little to prepare him for Nikolai's next revelation. Nikolai coldly admits that the lion was part of his plan. He had orchestrated the hunt to test his son's mettle, using the predator as a tool to teach them about life and death. The betrayal cuts deeper than any wound, shattering what little faith Sergei had left in his father. Filled with disgust and anger, Sergei abandons Nikolai, retreating to a secluded sanctuary in Russia that once belonged to his mother. Years pass, and Sergei evolves into Kraven, a name whispered in fear among criminals. He uses his animistic abilities to hunt those who prey on the innocent, operating as a vigilante with a single-minded focus, to rid the world of predators like his father. Kraven's methods are ruthless but precise, earning him a reputation as a relentless hunter. After assassinating a notorious arms trafficker in a Russian prison, Kraven decides to visit Dmitry in London for his birthday. The reunion is bittersweet. Dmitry, who has grown into a charming and ambitious young man, welcomes Sergei warmly, but their bond feels strained. That night, Kraven takes a walk to clear his mind, only to return to devastating news: Dmitry has been kidnapped by mercenaries. Nikolai's reaction is as heartless as expected. He refuses to pay the ransom, dismissing Dmitry's life as a bargaining chip he isn't willing to use. Determined to save his brother, Kraven tracks down Calypso, now a lawyer with a reputation for taking on impossible cases. Though reluctant to involve herself in Kraven's dangerous world again, she agrees to help, drawn by a sense of duty and perhaps a lingering connection to Sergei. Their investigation leads them to Alexei Sitsovic, a mercenary who has undergone experimental procedures that turned him into a monstrous figure resembling a rhinoceros. Alexei is not just a brute, he's cunning and methodical. He offers Dmitry a chilling proposition: join forces to overthrow Nikolai. Dmitry's initial refusal earns him Alexei's wrath, but the mercenary sees value in using him as bait to lure Kraven. Kraven tracks Alexei to an abandoned monastery in Turkey. The setting is ominous, filled with shadows and the echoes of Dmitry's cries for help. But it's a trap. Alexei's men ambush Kraven, forcing him into a brutal fight for survival. Despite his heightened abilities, Kraven barely escapes, his mind racing with questions about how to outmaneuver an enemy this formidable. Just as Kraven begins to regroup, a new threat emerges. The foreigner, a deadly assassin, enters the fray. Unlike Alexei, who relies on brute strength, the foreigner is a master of deception, using ocular hypnosis to disorient his targets. His attacks are psychological as much as physical, pushing Kraven to his limits. Together, Alexei and the foreigner track Kraven and Calypso to the sanctuary in Russia. They use Dmitri as leverage, forcing Kraven into a deadly confrontation. The ambush is devastating. The foreigner administers a neurotoxic drug to Kraven, leaving him paralyzed and vulnerable. As Alexei closes in, it's Calypso who steps up. Armed with a crossbow, she takes out the foreigner and revives Kraven. Her bravery reignites Kraven's determination, setting the stage for the final showdown. Kraven confronts Alexei in a fight that is as much a clash of ideologies as it is of strength. Alexei, now fully transformed into the Rhino, uses his brute force to overwhelm Kraven. But Kraven counters with strategy, using the environment to his advantage. In a dramatic sequence, he unleashes a stampede of buffaloes, cornering Alexei. The battle ends with Kraven delivering the final blow, spearing Alexei and putting an end to his rampage. In the aftermath, Kraven discovers that Nikolai orchestrated the entire ordeal. It was Nikolai who tipped Alexei off about Sergei's location, using his sons as pawns to eliminate his enemies. Fueled by rage, Kraven tracks Nikolai to the Siberian wilderness. But instead of killing him, he chooses poetic justice, leaving Nikolai defenseless against a bear. Dmitri, however, is less forgiving. When he learns of Kraven's shape-shifting abilities gained through the same experiments that created Alexei, he accuses Sergei of being no different from Nikolai. Dmitri's rejection stings deeply, forcing Kraven to confront the darker parts of himself. Back at the sanctuary, Kraven finds a vest made from the skin of the lion that nearly killed him. It's a haunting reminder of his past, but also a symbol of his journey. As he dons the vest, he embraces his dual nature, both hunter and protector.